Yeah.
Like, yeah. Because Cuckoo, I think, is a better team fighter, and Jabs needs those hero-dependent matchups.
Well, and they always come out with those surprises. You know, that's how the Broodmother came out. That's how the Tiny and the Bristleback came out as well. Those heroes, you know, you don't get to pick that as your second to last pick. You know.
The Magnus has gone through this time though. That was second ban from TNC last time round. This time round they've decided to get rid of the Ogre.
Magnus has lost a lot this tournament. I guess we saw Bulbas yesterday, but aside from that, there's still been just a lot of losses I see from Magnus. Not exactly sure why. I didn't think the nerfs were that big.
I mean, it just depends on playstyle, depends on, you know, how you play. Do you have a really solid Magnus player? Some teams...
Faceless? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Faceless does, so for sure, but like there's some teams that aren't playing it throughout this tournament.
He's not too bad, though. He's 9-9, which, I mean, he's lost a lot compared to DAC, right? Where he seemed to be the dominant force, but say something like Ember Spirit, which is under 30% and picked more. So, CM openings are they're always what I call open drafts.
Yep.
You have the first pick, you know that the two heroes on Faceless, they generally want to be good against the only hero they see, but if you're good against the CM, what are you really accomplishing? So that's why I've always liked CM as the first pick.
Yep, TNC took it away from Faceless, who picked it first.
And they banned out the Ogre.
And they banned out the Ogre.
I wouldn't want to deal with that support.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing the performance last game, that's a scary support.
That was brutal.
Yep, so Faceless get neither of their supports from the previous game. And instead, they'll go Tree.
One thing about Tree is that hero has had a lot less success than I thought it would coming into the tournament. I personally think people are playing a bit too greedy. I don't think Tree's a hero that you get Midas on. Maybe as a 4-1, like, I know Babolka before this tournament had a tournament where he's like second in net worth on Treant. But I think how Fenrir played it yesterday against DC was how you actually should play Treant. What he did was he created this early pressure, and he followed it up with a blink, and the blink got him like 4 kills. They continued to keep up that pressure, and you just have this, like, I feel like people don't understand Treant's first skill. Like, you blink in, you bash them with it, it's a 2.2 second stun, and then you walk around, you don't hit them again because you're waiting for your Q to reset. When your bash ends, you ult them, and you bash them again. And it's like, it's 8 seconds of disable, and it's so stupid to play against. So, I like the blink purchase on that hero.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I really changed my thoughts on that hero. We talked about it a lot before this tournament, and just seeing it snowball like that seems like the more efficient way to play it, especially in this current meta, especially with these top teams.
I haven't seen a huge amount of Witch Doctor in this
They picked it up both times they had Tree.
Alright. That's a pretty classic combo. I don't think you can ever go aggro into a Tree and Witch Doctor. I think it's pretty much impossible. I think Witch Doctor's a bit on the weak side. I think he starts to fall off. I think a big reason for that is there are a lot of really good support items. You know, you have your Solar Crest, your Glimmer Capes, all that stuff. You can't cast any of those while you're channeling Death Ward. So I think you can cast Glimmer Cape yourself. I don't know if you can cast on allies too.
I think so. Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Okay. I don't buy the item, so. But like, it's a big deal when your support can't cast like Urns and Solar Crest and Force Us during the fight. You're just sitting there channeling Death Ward. But, so, you do want to play to the strength of their hero. I expect Faceless to really want some building damage. They have 2 heals already, good saves. I consider Cask a save. I consider Tree an out save, so they have 2 saves, 2 heals. All they need to do is get some building damage so they can sustain through a fight, force an objective.
27th pick for Treant in this particular major, 46.1% win rate. So not terrible, but not great either. Crystal Maiden, the most picked hero at this event, the 36th pick so far, 57.1%.
That's high for how early she's being picked. I want to, like, when you think about drafts, heroes that get first picked should technically have less impact on the game because the other team has 5 heroes to counter them. So when a hero gets first picked, like, I don't know if people remember when Batraj was super Imba, but he'll get first picked, you have like a 65% win rate. That's indicative that the hero is very, very strong. He's countered by 5 heroes and he's still dominating.
Monkey King, which often has been first picked. 33 picks at this event so far, 36.3% win rate. So it's gone up a lot from the early, like the first day I think it was 20% at the end of the first day. So it has recovered a little bit, but still.
To be honest, I feel like Monkey King's one of those heroes that people don't think he's that strong right now, but in my opinion, he's a hero that needs to adapt to the changes. I don't feel like Monkey King's the 5 hero who can jump around in trees, have no items anymore. This hero got he got nerfed in his early game, but he actually got buffed in his mid-late game.
Yeah.
He got some strength game buff. I don't remember if there's anything else, but he gets pretty tanky. And if you can get items on him, he can actually have a lot of teamfight impact later on in the game.
And the key thing is those spells have not changed in the late game. They were all nerfed for the early levels in his Q and W and E. So it'll be interesting to see if we start to see teams looking at that as more of a late game pick or looking to that as being a late game pick rather than that early game, just as vision.
So when we look at Faceless' lineup here, they now have 3 saves. I'll give Arminate 2 saves because he's really good at saving. So they have 4 saves and 3 heals.
Yeah.
I think they're looking out for a push lineup here. I think they identified that TNC's lineup last game was pretty greedy. They see the Nyx and CM. They're not particularly greedy, but Nyx is a bit slow.
Yep.
So they're like, I think this is how we win the game. I think they came into this winter game plan, play off the early game. If you guys play aggressively in the early game, we will win. And that looks like they're going to do. They really need a push hero, though. I really like Shaoling for them.
This is the 9th game of the Major for Witch Doctor. The previous 8, only 2 of 1.
Slark for TNC? That's even more troublesome if you're worried about push.
Yeah, I don't know if they're fully understanding, looking the same way we're looking at the draft. Maybe they have a different idea of how Faceless is going to play this, but to me, this looks a little daunting, a little worrisome for TNC coming into this next pick here.
In particular, I think the lane is really hard versus Omni at Slark. They're going to have to focus a lot around playing around the safe lane. And as we saw the aggression from Faceless last game around mid lane, that might be a bit hard. Granted, Treant Witch Doctor is a lot worse at pressuring mid lane than Ogre CM. I like it.
There's that anti-mage.
Wow.
So they're not going to go for the push. Instead, they see, hey, we're going to just control the early game, and then we're going to go with the hard carry route with our heals and saves. I guess that's the other route you can go with a lot of heals and saves. Speaking of Slark versus push lineups, the hero is he's surprisingly okay just because he's so good at being elusive and cutting waves. And you generally do want something that will carry you into the late game when you play against these push lineups. You can defend all their pushes, but if they're fine just keeping your 5 heroes there, you're not going to feel good defending them.
I'm a little surprised he's turned back for AM.
It's a black anti-mage, man.
Yeah,
it is.
He's only played it once in the last month, by the way, but when he did, he killed everything.
Yeah. That's a good pick for Sam H. Axe is generally a bit hard versus Omnite just because the Pure Down Shield comes out, but I've seen that guy's Axe do work. And it's one of the... They needed a hero that they could sort of combine with one other hero to pick off the anti-mage. When you're playing a hard carry that split pushes, generally, if the enemy needs 3 heroes to kill you, you'll not lose the game because it's very easy to scout 3 heroes. It's a lot harder to scout 2 hero combinations. Your vision and pressure on our lanes.
Yeah, it ends up coming down to the 2 last mid picks here again. So,
I'm
Faceless getting that matchup that they want.
I'm curious how Axe is planning to enter the lane. I think he has to jungle, but there's a Treant on the enemy team, and his supports aren't that strong. I don't think you can go to lane against a Witch Doctor as Axe. That hero's just too good at lane.
I mean, maybe you try and end up, soaking farm with one of the supports, probably the Nyx, and then just let the Axe initially start jungle and then maybe come back later on.
Yeah, that sounds like a decent plan, because then at least the Nyx is putting pressure, the Treant won't feel as comfortable. But the one thing is, like, Witch Doctor can solo zone both Nyx and Axe, so it's a bit iffy. Like, the one thing, if you say anything about Witch Doctor, is he's extremely strong at maybe like levels 1 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
They can't really go aggro either. Slark's like one of the worst aggro laners in the game if the enemy lane's stronger. He's really good at like these 2v1s, 3v1s, where you can like play off this pounce, but he does no damage, he has no armor. And Axe is a terrible matchup versus Omni anyway, so they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I think TNC bans out the Ember because they don't want Faceless to have something that sort of enables the Witch Doctor and Omni to cast their spells. Omni needs someone to go in. Ember's a really good hero when you can run into your opponent. If you don't have to run away on that hero will do insane amounts of damage. And
Do you not think the Ember was good for TNC?
I wouldn't want to play Slark, Ember, Chorus versus Anti-Mage. I think it's very waiting to lose the game. I think TNC needs something to push though. I don't think they can win late game versus Anti-Mage Omni Knight. They have nothing. They have an Axe Call through BKB, but the Blade Mill gets completely countered by Guardian Angel. And if he's repelled, you can't purge it off either. So if they don't have building push, this Anti-Mage is just gonna 1v5 them in the end.
I mean, we saw the silencer earlier this.
The core silencer?
Yeah, from them.
They do like that.
That might actually solve a lot of the solutions, especially just so many spellcasters throughout this game.
I think if they run silencer, they're looking at to just losing that to Anti-Mage.
Yeah.
He's really bad versus Repel, though. I think they probably need a hero that's good versus Repel.
I think maybe hitting a Shadow Fiend timing could be good. I think the Slark pick makes it very awkward to want to do some timing push though, so I'm not too sure.
Wow.
And that's actually a hero that's traditionally countered Anti-Mage. I think we saw Weehaw play a lot of it at, was it Frankfurt where it was played versus Anti-Mage?
Last year?
Yeah. I think Frankfurt was when Anti-Mage and Windrunner were popular.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, Windrunner is one of the heroes that can solo kill Anti-Mage. The Treant Armor will sort of make it in favor of Anti-Mage surviving, but all you have to do is add one more hero and Anti-Mage is dead.
I think we've only seen Windrunner here as a support.
Yep. I think EG's been the only team that's been running it, and they run it as a roamer, either on Crit or Zai.
Yep.
Well, it's been picked 5 times and it's 4-1, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
So excited to see a core Wind Ranger. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It'll be interesting to see.
What was the last pick? I missed it.
I don't think it came out yet.
I don't know if it came up for us.
It yet. No, I didn't think we managed to get it, unfortunately.
There it is.
It
hasn't actually happened
it hasn't
yet.
happened yet.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So we'll just wait for this last pick.
It's a hard mid matchup versus Wind Ranger on most heroes. I think you want something that can sustain through the lane.
Something
Or is
that's
comfortable with losing the lane.
yeah, or just throw it away.
I think there's actually a good option. You're against CM Wind Ranger. You just want a hero that has kill potential on Wind Ranger. He has 2 nukes, so you can kill her.
Yep.
And you're not worried if you lose a lane. The worst is if you pick a hero that needs to win your lane and you lose it. That's last game, right, with the TA.
Okay, very interesting drafts from both teams, as we expected in this particularly regional derby. Conrad, prediction time.
I feel like Faceless has a really good draft here. I like what they've done with their heroes, and it seems like they're coming in with a game plan. They feel, to me, looks very confident.
Okay, so Conrad goes for Faceless, Ben.
I'm going to go with TNC. I see severe damage issues on the side of Faceless, especially if AM doesn't get super, super huge.
Okay.
I like Faceless's draft. I think Black's one of the best anti-mage players in the world. I think he has enough scouting heroes to make sure that he can get his farm. And I'm not sold on Winner as a mid. Hopefully this game will change my mind. I'd love to see a game 3.
Okay. I think there's many of us that would share that sentiment in terms of game 3. But it is 1-0 right now to Faceless. Can they make it 2 and advance to the quarterfinals? They haven't had the greatest joy in majors before. Maybe that's about to change. Let's head back to our commentary team for game number 2.
Thank you very much, Paul. Indeed, we are here live in Kiev, ready for Game 2 now. TNC versus Faceless. I'm ODPixel. I'll be joined once again, of course, by Cinderin. We've just seen the drafts. It's just all kicked off again. We're pretty much getting some new heroes. We're seeing Faceless run this dual core of Tiny and Anti-Mage. Of course, Anti-Mage being another one of Black's classics. Had a great go game 1 on one of his other ones, the signature Slark. Slark, of course, though, this time, TNC has said, that hero looked pretty good. We're going to try it for ourselves. But they match it up within the mid lane. Cuckoo playing a Wind Ranger.
Yeah, this, I'm not really sure about this Wind Ranger pick, how good it's going to be. I think the hero is a bit awkward to run a lot of the time. But again, it seems to me like Faceless have this good idea of how to counterpick cores. I think Anti-Mage is one of the better heroes you can have against the Slark. I think the Tiny last pick is also a very good hero to have against Slark. Just the instant burst that Slark can't really deal with. He can die really quickly. At the same time, though, TNC, great axe pick, in my opinion. Should be very easy to get multiple hero calls in this game. You're playing against 4 melee heroes, so should prove to be very strong. Actually, XY, he's just dead?
Yep.
All right, he's just dead.
He says, well, here's a little bit of a freebie. We gave you a tough game 1. Let's make it a bit more even game 2. Just feeds mid. Didn't get the role he wanted this game.
I'm done.
I'm done.
Just go mid with Treant.
But no, what was he? Just trying to get some wards out by the looks of XY, or?
Yeah, he already got one.
Oh, he already got the ward out. He's
He
just
placed
making
it.
his way.
I think he didn't skill yet. He didn't skill Nature's Skies, so maybe wants to hold the skill point for Leech Seed for the laning stage, and obviously doesn't have that option if he does go for the Nature's Skies just to get that movement in there. The real question to me is, why was he actually even there? I don't know what benefit there was. He does have a sentry. He might have wanted to try to counter ward mid, but never dropped it there. In either case, that's a little bit of a head start here for TNC, who will be running support Nyx Assassin this time for Tims. He's blocking up very nicely here in mid together with Cuckoo, so I think they'll have lane advantage as far as the initial positioning goes.
And I think as well, Cuckoo should have a much easier experience than mid lane. He's now on a hero that is very hard to gank for a start, and even harder when you consider the supports of Faceless are a Treant and an Omni. Two people that are going to have trouble closing the gap and have a difficulty dealing with the wind run.
And when you're running anti-mage against Axe, this Witch Doctor kind of has to stay up top. You can't. It's difficult for him to leave AM alone for extended periods of time. Jabs trading mid. This is pretty even overall as an exchange, but I think Cuckoo will happily take that, knowing that he got the first blood, so he has a bit of an economy advantage. Oh, missed the power shot though. Maybe broken the flask there from Jabs. Doesn't happen.
Are you a little surprised the Jabs didn't take the full-out poor mans to the lane, or is this stout enough against the Wind Ranger at this stage?
The tricky thing is, when you go for the full poor man, you actually need to get a lot of CS before you can get your bottom.
Yeah, okay, so you want the bot lace out for kill potential on the squishy.
I think if he would have gone for poor man now, he would still have had to use his flask.
Bottom lane.
But he would be a lot far away.
Really nice scope being made, and it will be successful to bring down iceiceice. A lot of control, of course, between these three, between the Pounce, the Impale, and the Frostbite. So if they manage to catch that Omni, especially at this stage where he was still level 1, leveled the Purification first, so no sort of repel to help him get away from that. Obviously it's going to get harder once he picks up a few levels, but a great time for TNC to try and abuse the Omni's level 1 weakness.
Absolutely, and at the same time, top lane, Faceless will be zoning out Sam H very nicely. Axe is not as good as he used to be, let's put it that way. The counter Helix is a lot slower at jungling, especially in the low levels, so retreating to the jungle isn't as effective, and you see iceiceice, well, iceiceice, it's nuts with iceiceice's sponsor.
He likes to confuse us, casters.
Keeping good tabs of what is happening with Sam H. So no jungling, he even steals his rune, he's just going to walk back up top, and Sam H is actually having a really hard time so far. Omni Knight is getting way more out of this laning stage.
Tims, we'll find out. Nice little use of the regen rune there, making sure he gets a spell out once it regens. So does a bit of damage, doesn't cost Tims any mana at all, effectively. But yeah, this mid lane as well, CS-wise, 13-5 against the 8-0. And as we already talked about, not huge amounts that Faceless can do at this stage of the game, at least, to alleviate the pressure for Jabs in the mid lane.
No, he's going to have a bit of a hard time for now. What they can do is they can skill Living Armor on level 2, perhaps. It's pretty good in lane against Wind Ranger. That should give Jabs a lot more room to breathe, but for now, not really an option. However, of course, the key part of Faceless's lineup, they've run this like triple heal, very defensive style around an anti-mage, so the absolutely primary thing for them is that anti-mage has a good game. So far, Black is getting great fun.
Bottom lane, they're going to look to try and make another go onto iceiceice. This time has the level 3, and suddenly that gank becomes infinitely harder for TNC to be successful with.
Absolutely. Repel is so good against this type of lane, where you almost have to have the pounce as you're opening, and just repel and walk away. There's not really much to do. It is still on cooldown for 10 seconds, but I don't think TNC will get an opportunity to go again. Sam H is still level 1, man. This is 3.5 minutes in. He could have just full jungled instead. And sure,
yeah, triple the level of that.
Nuts would have had a bit more experience then because he could have pulled a lot. But the thing is, if Sam H is keeping 2 supports busy, fine. But it's 1.
Got him. X-White with the Centaur Steel. But kind of going back to what you said as well, really, you've got to remember this game without anti-mage. As you say, we've seen already series before in this tournament where you could be down 20 kills and still winning the game as long as that anti-mage is in a strong position. The question I'm kind of intrigued to see is, does he do what Burning does? Are we going to see a Midas come out on Black into the Battle Fury, or do you think he will just stick with the Battle Fury, something a little more orthodox, or is he going to go absolute greed like Burning did?
I think he's going to play more stable. I think Black feels more comfortable just playing the treads into Battle Fury build.
Yep.
I also don't think the anti-mage in this game needs to dodge fights as much as Burning had to in the IG game earlier in the group stage, because he has such a good supporting cast around him that he's able to even fight with the Battle Fury. That's what Omni Knight does for you. You get the repel, you go in. Worst case scenario, you get called by Axe, but if they're quick with the backup, I still don't think they can kill the AM. So that's definitely something they can play around. Mid lane.
Yeah, they're going to look to try and get sort of a catch onto Cuckoo, but again, Cuckoo can afford to play it much safer this time around.
One of the weaknesses of Treant. He
Bottom
just
lane,
can't
though.
make this move.
Look at the harassment that iceiceice managed to get off. Raven is already out of lane, and iceiceice just walks down and solo kills Ryo. Suddenly, this bottom lane is going to really wake up and favor this Omni Knight. Raven, he's got to go all the way back to base. He's got no regen, and he is still a level and a half off level 6. In fact, Nuts, ooh, came down and looked for him. Raven with a nice little knee pounds across the tree line. We'll make sure that he gets away from that wraparound. But nonetheless, very painful for this Slug, having to go back like
top.
that.
He could be in trouble here.
Oh, this is big for Black if he can pick this kill off. TamH will go for the TP out with the bonus armor. Is it going to be enough? Just enough to get himself back out to safety.
Not level 6 yet on Black. That is definitely a kill with Mana Void. So TamH got a little bit of space now. Almost level 4. Comparatively, Omni Knight is level 6. So off lane really favor. Okay, he's not level 6, so before you say it, he's missing 5 experience.
5 experience.
He's level almost 6. So the off lane for Faceless going very well. However, they are being destroyed in their mid lane. The Windranger has kept the advantage up very well from the first blood onward. He's currently sitting on 39 CS to the 21 of Tiny. Obviously enjoying that Crystal Maiden aura, as well as his Raindrop, and now even an Arcane Rune. That's enough mana to go for a couple minutes. At the very least.
This bottom lane definitely the biggest issue at the moment for TNC, as iceiceice doing a very good job of keeping Raven's farm down. And Raven desperately trying to find the experience that he needs to get into that safety point at level 6.
It's actually very difficult to play Slark right now if Treant is not showing on the map. Because Treant plus Omni Knight could almost kill him if he isn't sitting on, like, at the very least 2/3 health, maybe even more.
Oh, top lane, TamH will get himself stuck in. Does have to be a little more careful now with those sort of plays, as Black does have his Mana Void at the ready. And certainly will look to try and punish any overextensions from Sam.
They're sending jabs into the jungle now and giving Nuts a bit of time in the mid lane. Should mention, by the way, he is on his signature Witch Doctor. Arguably the best Witch Doctor player in the world. In my opinion, extremely good at that hero since all the way back in MVP.
Yeah, it's always been a go-to pick. Nuts and the boys. Mid lane, we are going to see a smoke from TNC. Riot and Tims looking to try and get some sort of catch onto either the mid laner or ideally finding the Tiny wherever he backed off to. It's going to be a TP through, but next to the shrine, not the target they want to be trying to go for. Bottom lane, Raven. You mentioned it earlier, Sin. These two heroes can kill that Slug with absolute ease. In the mid lane, though, TNC will find the trade. But of course, at the end of the day, it's not worth it for TNC. They move their supports away from the safe lane, and Faceless very quick to punish that.
It seems to me that Faceless go into every game with one primary target in mind. They like... It's like a mark on Raven's back right now. He's the guy they want to kill. Oh, the Courier as well. Might be the second target they want. Not going to get it, though. So this game, they're targeting Raven really hard, and the Slark, that's the hero they feel like is going to be a big threat. Oh, and TamH going to find Ryo as well. Black with a solo kill here. Really, once again, looking really good for Faceless this game, similar to game number 1. Not as dominant, but
no, for sure.
They're building the kind of early game that their lineup wants.
It's, yeah, just the difference between their two safe laners. This anti-mage compared to the Slark, night and day at the moment. Life may get a little easier for Raven once he hits the 6. Even if that...
he could die before that.
Yeah, we're going to see Tims try and come in to maybe help out a bit. But he himself has to be careful. XY on the tree.
Oh, XY actually got tricked. Oh, that is a really big kill.
Yeah, Cuckoo comes in with a rotation. The shackle shot to set up for TamH to get in with the Berserker's Call. More than enough lockdown to bring down Black. Now they'll look to manage to get a second one off the back of it as well. Again, the same combo. Very strong. That shackle into the Berserkers.
This is basically TNC bringing the early game back to even. Yeah. The kill on the Anti-Mage. The Windranger gets both kills. He's now 3-0. Cuckoo is having completely the opposite game of last game. Oh, they're going to respond here with a kill onto Tims. Raven has got level 6. He's going to be fast. Get away. Yeah, they're not giving the Slug room to breathe. He's probably going to lose his safe lane tower now as well at the cost of no real structural damage on TNC side, unless actually they're letting this Windranger push top right now. A bit surprising.
And it's not the end of the world, of course, for Raven on the Slug. He managed to get the Iron Talon and the Treads, pretty much just the two items that you need to be able to self-sustain and dark pack down jungle camps and keep farming whilst being off the map from Faceless's view.
Yeah, most of the time you see Sark's also needing the Ring of Aquila, but he has Crystal Maiden's Arcane Aura, so he can skip that part and get a fairly decent Shadowblade timing if he gets to farm now. He still basically needs to farm more than 2,000 gold. Oh, there's 100 there. It's a good start. But ways to go.
He's definitely got the tools to do so, but yeah, Faceless definitely have the tools to bring him down if they're able to make these movements and catch him out. As we've seen Faceless getting some control of the Radiant jungle, already the vision down around the Shrine Point. We'll see what TNC's next bit of a play is going to be. Ryo has picked up a smoke, coming over to maybe join Sam H for some sort of a movement. They're looking towards the top lane, but Faceless do have quite a fair few numbers up here. Black, Nuts, and iceiceice joining together. And as soon as they take that tier 1 bottom, just moving on for the next objective and looking to shut down TNC's map even further.
This Omni Knight is massive right now. He should not be underestimated. But because of these great plays top from TNC, they actually completely brought Sam H back into the game. These 2 assists he got on the Windranger kills. Actually, he got one of the kills himself. He's now level 8 with a Blink Dagger, minute 11. It's very, very good considering how far behind he was.
He was what, level 1 at 3 minutes in?
Yeah.
And bam, something like that. Thanks pretty much. Cuckoo's rotation.
Yep.
Really did it. A great time for the Windranger to make that sort of a play. And something that we don't always see, in games now, where we see a lot of mid laners that are a little bit more static, but Cuckoo bringing the Windranger action and managing to be a step ahead of Faceless and excelling his teammates to exactly where they want to be, and they're going to look to utilize that straight away with this movement up towards the top lane. They want to catch Black off guard with this Blink Axe. Nuts is nearby. We'll see if that's going to be anything that they can save him with. They'll throw in a cast, but already Black falling low, and with the dunk, they've done it. TNC are looking very strong at this stage with this Blink Dagger timing. The courier will be a short distraction, but they'll turn it towards Nuts and looking for the dive behind the tower. Nuts trying to juke his way out of this, but he gets shackled up. And they should be able to finish this one. Ryo surrounds him, makes sure there's no escape. Sam H with the second dunk to bring him down. And meanwhile, elsewhere, Tims was able to find a pick-off onto the Treant Protector. Jabs will catch Tims on the retreat out. Spike Carapace coming out in time. The Jabs waiting for it to wear off and will find the Nyx Assassin in return for Nyx taking down the Treant.
Raindrop, good item. Not good enough, though.
But yeah, this is huge for them. Black has such a good start, and now they're dealing with him. 2 times they've taken him out in the last 5 minutes or so.
And what I'm wondering for Faceless is that should they try to protect Black a bit more and look a bit less to make plays until he has his Battle Fury? You could, for example, protect him a bit with this Treant. If he's standing next to Anti-Mage, ready to give Living Armor, ready to give the Leech Seed, and just throw out a bash on the Axe so he doesn't get to use the Culling Blade. That could be a way of saving him. Alternatively, you could help him a bit with the Omni Knight. I think that's a worse option overall. In this meta, I think you want Omni Knight to actually farm a lot. But yeah, those 2 big picks for TNC are pretty much the big story of the last 5 minutes. And Nuts hasn't really been able to save him. Oh, Black, not again.
There's the initiation this time. Jabs is prepared to turn around and bring the pain back towards TNC. Cuckoo bursts it down low. The Maledict will begin to tick it down as well. Black jumps across from the tree line. Sam H with the cool again. Gets that bonus armor. And he will be able to walk back. Cuckoo actually ends up surviving the Maledict. Not quite enough damage. Once again, infused raindrops coming into play, saving that Windranger's life. And Cuckoo will be able to TP himself out. So Faceless did manage to protect Black and come back in with a kill in return. But it certainly could have been a lot more painful for TNC there.
Yeah. This was actually a nice way of doing this from Faceless. Like, in essence, they wanted to protect the aim, but rather than... Oh, that's the dead Witch Doctor.
And Sam H comes in just in time to get the call, make sure there's no successful TP out for Nuts. And with that in mind, TNC still continue to drive the overall flow of this game. And Raven is getting the space because of this.
Still, quickly, this previous play on Black, it's good to see from Faceless that they've identified that, okay, this is TNC's plan right now. They've done it twice, maybe they'll do it a third time. And then rather than having just the defensive supports protect, they actually just have a counter kill set up. They bait AM with Tiny in position, which is a pretty big commitment. You know, your two cores are in the same place, but they read it beautifully. Very nice carapace here from Tims.
And do they have detection? I don't think they do.
They actually don't.
The Vendetta is an easy way out for Tims.
Beautiful.
And Faceless just bringing 4 heroes to this area of the map, so heavily reacting but unable to punish. TNC looking a real step above what they were able to bring to game 1 already. This is something totally different, and already this game looking infinitely closer and very much in TNC's favor at this moment in time early on.
Oh, Jabs is going to find the pick on Raven.
Yeah, as I say, in their favor, things like that bring it back to being pretty much even.
And actually, Raven is probably going to be a bit annoyed that he put his treads on agility. I think he survives with strength.
Ooh, I don't know.
What you usually see Slarks do when they go and dark pack the wave is that they start on int to have the maximum mana efficiency, and then you switch over to strength.
For the health.
When you've taken the damage from dark pack, then you go agility. But in this case, if you're farming lanes and Tiny is missing, you have to be on your max HP or at least have a raindrop. This kill is big and was definitely avoidable for Raven in this case. AM has the Fury. Here we go. 16 minutes, not ideal for Black. See the 2 deaths slowing him down a lot.
Yeah, the 2 kind of key items for both cores being picked up in tandem. You know, Raven has just picked up the Shadow Blade, and of course, understandable from that last event as well, instantly picks up a Raindrop. Raindrops, as you mentioned, just so huge to stop Jabs from getting this blink and instant pick off.
Doesn't work when it's in your stash, though.
It's true. He's got to get it out there. Still at home at the moment.
Oh,
that's a freebie. The question is, can Faceless do anything to punish it? If only Black around. The answer is no. Mid lane, nice shackle into Impale from Tims. Will cause the death of another. iceiceice being taken down. That's not any old Omni Knight. That's a very big and strong and an Omni Knight that was on a similar level to Farm as Raven. Knocking him down. TNC move on to the tier 1 push. And it's looking very impressive for them compared to what we saw in game 1. TNC have just come to this one with a new game plan. The Cuckoo Wind Ranger is working out perfectly. This setup for the team, it's getting the kill every time.
It's definitely working. It seems very comfortable. I'm not too big a fan of Wind Ranger in the current patch in the mid lane, but Cuckoo's doing a great job so far in this game.
And they may get something here. There's the first setup. The overgrowth will hold him back. The shackle, it won't latch. Even if it did Black, he still have got a ways. Tanky at the moment.
Sam H is super dead.
Yeah, the burst comes in from Jabs, and 1 punch brings him down low. The Berserker Skull will buy him some time with that bonus armor, but Black jumps forward. The Death Ward jumps as well. But Nudge wrapped around from the behind. Raven finds him. They'll look towards Black. Out comes the ult from iceiceice, protecting the anti-mage and allowing Black to turn and fight for more. Beats down onto the Nyx Assassin. They'll get the Crystal Maiden as well. Faceless this time round, heavily punishing TNC.
This Wind Ranger's out of mana, and he has Mana Void still.
Oh,
Black could
that's
going to
be a huge amount of burst, and there we have it, the flying in. He doesn't even need to use the Mana Void. Jabs takes the kill as he tosses Black onto the head of Cuckoo. Faceless with a huge fight there in their jungle.
That was pretty funny, actually. Black mid animation gets tossed. I wonder what their comms is like in that moment. It's just nice, we got the kill. Like, it's like, come on.
Now, Jabs is going to walk out a lot of money from that, though. Picking up a triple kill, yeah. He's sitting on a raw 2.7k gold now, this Tiny. So a lot of ways that the Jabs can go. Is there a certain way you'd like to see him? Do you feel he needs a BKB? Pick up something for the team like the drums? Anything in particular?
I think Silver Edge is pretty nice this game. The way Faceless wants to play this game is more split push oriented, I think, for now. Obviously, they have an anti-mage. It allows Tiny to traverse the map and try to find a pick. It gives him that little bit of extra damage that he needs to solo the Slark, and he can break the counter helix of Axe. I think it's
he's gone for sort of just a different way of dealing with the Axe.
Yeah,
he's picking up the Yules.
Also a very nice choice.
Very nice to control the Axe.
Yep. I like that too. If he gets Blink Call off, you just Yule him.
Tims, he dispels the smoke, but the quick dust is there from Faceless. And they will punish Tims, heading over to their half of the map.
Black just can't seem to get kills. I think they should be giving these kills to the anti-mage. Just ramp him up a little bit. It's not in the sense that, oh, you have anti-mage, give him absolutely everything. That's not what's supposed to be the case in every game. Not in this game either, but it's just he has 1 kill. He's died twice. He's been involved a lot. So it's taking away from his farming time. I would like to see Faceless try to just give him a little more reward right now so he can get toward, especially that Mantis style that could turn out to be a really big pickup for him.
I mean, look at this.
The Yasha's coming out.
But again, on the replay, just the ability for Black to man up. And precisely what you mentioned earlier, the fact that you've got this Omni Knight backup allows this anti-mage to just do huge amounts in these fights. And with the Repel and the Guardian Angel, there's nothing that TNC can do to hold him back.
If it wasn't for Omni Knight, Black wouldn't really have been involved in the game.
He would have been dead then.
He would have just been farming, and they wouldn't even try to take this fight. Oh, this is a bait!
Jabs jumps in, but immediately Cuckoo turning around. The Overgrowth will come through. Catch out too. iceiceice moving forward to the front lines. They've kept everyone alive so far on Faces, and they'll get the kill. They bring down the axe. They do lose Tiny. Raven turning up to do the damage. Nuts is being chased down. The pounce forward from Raven not going to connect, and it's actually not going to be able to find the Witch Doctor. The Jews come through. They've shackled up XY, so TNC do find the 2 kills. Raven wanting to come back in for more. There's a sentry on the high ground. They do see the Slark. Black will start to look to trying to burn down the mana. Questioning whether he can get back in. Does have a mana void. Will have the repel as well. Cuckoo very low on life on the top lane. Starts to retreat with a win run. We'll go for the TP out. Black's not going to jump for it. We'll stick to the farm. So TNC do get the 2 kills and are able to bring down Jabs as well. A man that's worth quite a bit, I'd imagine, after the streak of such. And indeed, yeah, Tim's 700 gold for him for getting that one. So a nice chunk of money for the Nyx Assassin for that.
Absolutely, that's his Midas.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Hang.
Hang. Hang what?
Hang.
That's a bit grim. Hang. As the audience, beautiful boys and girls, chilling, enjoying some SEA Dotes at the moment here in Kiev. And a very high octane match as well.
So anyway, I like this play from TNC that the way they managed to turn around this jump on X, very quick reaction. And, you know, if they would have executed this slightly differently, then I think Faceless could have actually won this fight, but they end up getting the draw here. Tiny got off a good Yules, but there wasn't enough protection for him afterwards, immediately after. He didn't dodge the Calling Blade with the Yules. He tried to, but Calling Blade actually whiffed. He didn't have enough damage, and he did get the Yules off. If Omni Knight is slightly quicker there and in position, Tiny stays alive. Oh,
Can they punish this? Damage gets the call here with the golems in the neighborhood. There's the stun control from Tims, and they'll punish that. Black. Very unfortunate for him there. Blinking forwards to farm, and TNC were in the right position at the right time.
Got distracted by the hang.
By the hang. It's powerful mental mechanics being utilized here. TNC. Echo Saber complete for Raven as well. He continues to hit the item timings that he was hoping to this game, 22 minutes in. If he is allowed to, if he's not controlled for like the first
mid lane, they're going to go again. Samage keeps finding the openings.
And they are going to try and turn Rio with the freezing field, but immediately the stun comes out for the Overgrowth. The Death Ward for Nuts will secure Faceless. Both of the kills there in the middle lane.
Perfect
top lane.
cast.
Mass TP is coming through. Cuckoo already on the retreat. The DJ Nora is slowing him down. They've got no way to cancel the TP though.
This is a very big play though for Ice. Saving this tower when they have living armor. It was very close to dropping, like down to 10%, and they're going to bring it up to full more than likely. There's no real lane pressure coming out for TNC in the next few minutes, so this tower should be doing just fine.
Is this the build? I mean, this is a little interesting here from the Tiny. Going full out on the perch. Yules into Dagon. Do you like this on a core Tiny?
Sometimes. Not really a fan of it in particular in this game.
I mean, I guess you're heavily relying on Black to just be the physical DPS late game hard carry for the team.
Oh, that's not really the problem with it. And he does have the Omni Knight to back him up. Maybe that's what he's relying on. But it becomes a bit tricky for your lineup if everyone wants Omni Knight's help and everyone wants Trian's help, because they can't help everyone at the same time. Maybe the idea with this is that he can burst the Slark solo. That's just what he's aiming for. My job in the game is to kill Slark, and if I manage to do that, we will win the fights. If that's the idea, it's a pretty good idea.
Okay.
Similarly, against Axe, he can probably blow him up as well. So on the last fight, when he got the combo out, did a lot of damage to him. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but it's one of those high-risk, high-reward kind of builds.
Yeah, if you get that one kill because of it, instantly becomes worth it.
Absolutely. If he finds the right targets. At the same time, though, it's pretty useless if you get jumped and the enemy team takes advantage of you. In that sense, there's other more hybrid items that he could have gone for, more flexible builds, like Force Staff could have been a choice of his. The Shadow Blade I mentioned earlier. Yeah, there were other items that were a possibility, but wants to go for the burst. Oh, Tims will scout out here. He's actually on top of the sentry, so gets pinged out here by Nuts. But nothing is gonna happen.
Mid lane, Jabs TPing across to farm. TNC themselves not wanting to fight at this moment in time. As Raven heads towards the bottom, continue to look for farm. Cuckoo himself pretty much has the Aghanim Scepter, so those two crucial items for Cuckoo as well are complete and will make all the difference. If he is able to get a good shackle, he'll certainly be able to bring one of the members of Faceless down very low with those two.
I imagine we'll see Diffusal Blade as his next item. He can consider a Blink Dagger as well, but they probably want a way to be able to utilize the Focus Fire, and Omni Knight is a big issue for Wind
Getting
Ranger.
rid of that GA.
It's such a bad matchup, I feel, for Wind Ranger. I guess it goes both ways, right? Like, if you get an amazing Shackle Shot on the Omni Knight, you can kill him during the stun and maybe latch him to someone else. But if you don't, Repel and Guardian Angel counters Windrunner very nicely. And also can't Shackle on the Repel target, obviously. Makes it harder to position yourself. You get less opportunities and options in the fight. So Diffusal, I think, would be a nice choice. Somewhere down the line, at least. Since right now, they actually have no GA counters. And I don't think Slark wants to buy a Diffusal just yet, at least. We'll see.
Continues to maintain that spot at the top of the board, of course, on his anti-mage. Level 15 Manta style, complete as well. Top lane, towards the Nyx Assassin. Jabs coming across as well with a combo. Is it going to be enough to do it? The Spike Caravans go for the TP out, but again, the power of the Yule Scepter. Seeing exactly why Jabs picks it up, and not only to disengage, but also to make sure that they can get successful kills without those TP outs occurring.
TNC are trying to trade whatever they can on the opposite side of the map. Faceless are not going to get this tower. Just TP in the Omni Knight. Hello. And more than likely going to start living armoring that tower up. The top tower is full health already. And it will indeed be rebuilt. So how much is it this living armor heals on level 4? So 15 times 16, what's that? That's 240, right?
What?
240. Every
Yes.
living armor heals 240, I think. 16 times 16.
It is, yeah. It's 240.
Yep.
160 plus HP.
So
240.
he needs to cast it just a few times to bring a tower back up to full. TNC with a big play here.
And they're going to get away with it, I think, as well, by the looks of it. Yeah, Faceless are all down bottom.
Extremely high-risk play, actually, but they have good vision and a good read on what Faceless are doing. If Faceless would have started moving toward the left, I think they have to concede this area. Taking a fight in the Roche Pit for them is really difficult. With this Blink Dagger Tiny with the Omni Knight and the Manta Style now revealed on AM, but they had the information they needed to go for this play. They set up a good defensive ward for it, and ends up what could have been a super risky play isn't risky at all because of information.
Jab's certainly the one to watch now at this stage, as he's managed to pick up a DD in his bottle as well. And with that Dagon, if he gets the jump on someone, he is going to have a very high chance of bursting them all the way down with that double damage.
Yep.
So TNC do have to be careful of this. They are grouping up themselves, looking for the push onto the tier 2 on the top lane. At the same time, Faceless looking to simply make the trade by the looks of it, as they come in heavy on the bottom, bringing the full team round to it. And we'll see if we see any sort of reaction from either side. But at least for the time being, it looks to be the simple tier 2 for tier 2 trade. Nyx Assassin will already TP down towards the bottom. Maybe seeing if they can set up something. And indeed, the mass TP's coming through. Faces can't take this tower quick enough. So they have to back away. See if Tims or Raven can get any catch on the way out. Dust is out onto Raven. Faceless out Black, jumping forward, looking for Tims. He's repelled up as well, Black. Samage comes in on the back. Good call on Field Unite to try and bring him away from the team. Raven pops the Shadow Dance, looks towards XY. The Pounce gets the connection, the Treants out. Cuckoo moving forward, instantly Wim running back as the Death Ward for Nuts causing issues for TNC. Raven gets beat down though by Jabs. The double damage rune coming into play as huge amounts of physical burst coming out from this Tiny. Cuckoo tries to run, the Avalanche will hold him in return. Ryo controls the Tiny with the Frostbite. Cuckoo turns around, it's not going to be enough damage from the Wind Ranger. Tims looking to see if he can catch anyone out with the stun, but he hasn't actually got any mana and not the availability to get that stun out. Samh tried for the call, couldn't quite make it in time.
When I saw that Axe buyback, I thought he would be able to connect, but he did use his TP previously on the original play, so couldn't connect to the fight in time. That could have been really big. If he was able to get to the fight, that's a gem that would have been lost by Jabs. and would have been worth the buyback just on its own. But Faceless do manage to duck out of there, and that's a pretty big fight for them. On their course and managing to kill the Axe, get his buyback, and kill the Slark. And now a little bit of a bonus.
Jabs.
Why not just kill him again?
The Dagon action.
Dagon so far, looking good.
That's pretty huge as well, knocking him back after he's just brought out and brought back in. 50 seconds without that Axe. The Dagon paying off the jabs. Blink Dagger now for Tims. So another way the TNC can get to those backliners. We saw in that last fight, the Axe tried his best to control iceiceice on the Omni, but it wasn't quite enough. Certainly a little bit of a wake-up call for TNC that last fight. Down on the bottom, Black getting himself a healthy lead from Raven's Slark.
iceiceice has some good stuff coming out. There's going to be Guardian Greaves, and he is currently has a... Black just... No, he didn't get out! Gets sandwiched here by 4 heroes. I don't know if that's a sandwich or not. Just gets... Oh, okay.
They get more out of this.
Bit chaotic.
I mean, Cuckoo's looking towards Nuts, and
Nuts
he can't get any sort of escape. The Shackle's there for control, and TNC playing another. We are really seeing just how much damage that they can do, and especially with that Silver Edge hit onto the anti-mage, he just melted. The Maelstrom procs, no sort of passive magic resistance for him once that touch comes through from the break. Now they're looking for more. Tims will actually get the first stun. Cuckoo gets a beautiful shackle off the creep. Jabs is going to come in and try and save them, but Samic is there with the cool control. Dunk down to bring down iceiceice. And again, TNC pulling together some more of that beautiful coordination we saw from them in the laning stage in the early ganks, and they get the 4th kill as well. They just follow through. Great catch. Cuckoo with some fantastic angles of the shackle shots. And TNC, they never stack their stuns. They always make sure that they control heroes for the maximum amount of times. And at this point of the game, it just guarantees them kill after kill. They'll move down the mid lane. 50 seconds with no time, no buyback available. iceiceice is still down for 20 as well.
Good call.
And again, TNC, they've got so many ways of initiating. And every time there's always someone behind each other to follow up. No one is left alone in the way that they jump in.
This last minute for them was a complete disaster. They lost the anti-mage, they lose additional heroes immediately after. They're just hemorrhaging kill after kill after kill, trying to help each other, dying again
and look at this again, look how deep they dive, TNC. This may come back to hurt them though. Immediate death towards drop from Nuts. They'll punish the jump in from Act. Black now looks towards Rio with the repel on Black. Should have a good job of chasing this one down. Will be held back for the time being by the Frostbite. Yeah, Black's he's not going to commit for it.
No.
Scared of there's still the potential the TNC can turn on it. So they will get at least the Axe, but the melee racks are down, and as you mentioned, those deaths, the BKB ready for next time, for that next fight. And that is going to be another real issue for Faceless to deal with. BKB also being closed in upon from Cuckoo, as well as they can stand their ground, lock onto a target. And Faceless have only got to hope that iceiceice's Omni play will be enough to save them. But
if he manages to get this Aghanims that he has in his quick buy, it's going to change the game, because no one on TNC is building Diffusal right now. So it's a guaranteed Guardian Angel and everyone on the map will obviously make a huge difference. But yeah, this last fight from TNC, they just moved from one area to the next, finding pick after pick, and Faceless got to be careful with this splitting up. The couple of picks they found on Black in this game have been really impactful. And if TNC, or rather Faceless, group up a little bit better, these kills become a lot harder to pull off. If you remember, once again, we've seen other anti-mages played in the group stage with great success, where the rest of the team played as a really good unit and kind of gathered information very well to let anti-mage know which limits he had as far as farming. In this game, it's not as good as we've seen in other games of this major. They're gonna maybe get a tier 2 tower bottom here as well. Black with the Lincoln Sphere. Be a good way to deal with the Shackle Shot or the Frostbite, but he can still get Blink called. And that's
the big one. That is the big one. And as we've seen so far, Sam H has been making some very nice plays. Some of them a little too aggressive. He has died for the cause of it a couple of times.
Sometimes that's worth it. Not if you're the one dying in general, but
yeah, as long as you're finding something in return. And certainly with those last few plays TNC have.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was a pretty significant gold lead building up for Faceless, and it's just dropped entirely. The net worth is now favoring TNC slightly, but they do have a Rax advantage, so it's a bit misleading. The melee Rax taken in mid. Generally, when this happens, you know, you're 25, 30 minutes into the game, the gold graph is even, and there's a lane of Rax down. It's generally an indication that there was one sequence of events where everything just went completely down the drain. You don't just kill one core and take a lane of Rax with this kind of Radiant lineup. Their pushing isn't even that good. But if you find a couple on the way, build up those stacks on Slark along the way, he can suddenly become pretty good at pushing. And as you said, these 2 BKBs now for TNC, really, really big. There's no Basher on Anti-Mage just yet, so can't really latch onto a target. And even if there were, Windrun deals with that very nicely. So TNC in a pretty comfortable position. If you're Faceless now, I think you just take it easy, farm a bit with AM, get towards your next item. And maybe now you regret buying Dagon and Tiny, because just a couple of mistakes. Now this item is so much weaker. Like this investment he made into this. There's 2 BKBs, so those targets are not really available anymore unless he gets a very quick jump. And another utility item at this point, that's the issue with Dagon, right? Another utility item will have way more uses overall. There's more situations where it's viable.
Talking about the anti-mage, I mean, you know, not to ever be one to question Black's build, but is there a reason why he doesn't get the Aghanims instead of the Lincoln Sphere in this game? Or do you think it is simply, as we saw it kind of on Burning as well in his game, he opted for the Lincolns instead. It's obviously going to be a force of habit for these two, you know, some of the biggest names in anti-mage gaming.
The stats are slightly better on the Lincolns. It's, like you said, it's also habit. He can also put it on someone else. The flexibility of doing that can be interesting. Being able to put that on, for example, the Tiny in the middle of the fight would be interesting, or on the Omni Knight. If Omni Knight is the target and he can keep Omni Knight alive, Omni Knight will pay it back in full to him shortly after, giving him a good fight. So overall, it just seems like a bit more of a flexible choice. Again, similar to what I was saying about Tiny Dagon, this has a bit more uses than the Axe does. I don't think there's anything in this game that you don't, like, where you're like, oh damn, he can reflect this and outplay me. I don't think there's anything like that here. But yeah.
We'll see a wrap around for TNC.
Jump in, misses the stun.
Yeah, not going to get lead. That's going to allow iceiceice to turn around with the Pearl Jabs. Comes in with the initial avalanche. Frostbite to hold back the Tiny Black. Leaps forward, down to the low ground. Tims will be able to back up. Raven pots the BKB starts to focus towards Jab. Samh with the cool control onto Black. Black falling low, tries to blink up, but Tims comes in with a beautiful 3-man stun. Raven moves on for more. There will be the toss away off the slot, but Cuckoo stands his ground, brings down Jabs as well. Ryo keeping Nuts held back. He's earning down. They'll pick up the Witch Doctor as well here. And Faceless with a fantastic initiation. They're going to get the full team wipe. Cuckoo and Raven ended up chasing down another. And we're pretty much seeing exactly what we were building up to, Sin. The fact that those 2 BKBs made it so hard for Faceless to do anything to TNC's 2 cores.
Yeah, Faceless also had a very awkward fight here. They didn't get the Guardian Angel on the Anti-Mage. Black blinked in, following through the Tiny. They could have killed the Nyx right away, actually. Tiny used both his spells on the Nyx, but they didn't Mana Void him. Just seemed like a bit of miscommunication. Maybe some nerves showing here for Faceless. Doesn't look as crisp as in the first game. Obviously, this game is also closer. It's easier to look good in a game where you're stomping already. But it's the coordination in their team fights. It seems a little bit off here. And once again, I really think they need this Aghanims on the Omni Knight. Or they need better communication between Black and Ice. They need to be close to each other. Because when they isolate Black like that and start targeting him, he dies really fast. He doesn't have enough defensive capabilities just yet to be able to survive this Wind Ranger and Slark just laying into him. And especially not the Axe Blink call. I feel like Samh has killed Black more than anyone else by far. Black
Faceless as they sit towards the middle lane. Sentry is down. And will be realized at the least. But I mean, for Faceless as well, Jabs, you know, with the Dagon build, he continues to just go full in on upgrading it. Kind of once you go halfway in, do you have to go all the way, or would you maybe like to see Jabs look to pick up something else for the team?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
It's a lot of money to invest.
It's just awkward right now for the Tiny, to be honest. I'm trying to think of what would be a really good item for him. I feel like an E-Blade is a potential build he could go for, but it's pretty expensive. but that gives him the flexibility of having the burst on the target that then his combo deals a lot of damage with an E-Blade and a Dagon. And at the same time, he can E-Blade Black during the blink call. They really need to keep their anti-mage safe. I feel like Black is being left a bit too much to his own devices in the fights. And it's not only his team not being in position, it's also Black going a bit too deep and not having the same read on the fight as his team does. So I could see E-Blade being an option. I could see Force Staff could still be something. And it's pretty late, but it's such a valuable item overall. Not the greatest Lotus game. It's all right.
TNC down towards the bottom. Cuckoo completed Mione, level 23 as well.
They still don't have any defusals against this Omni. They just don't care.
And the last few fights there, as we've seen, just being able to play around it, bring him down before he can get off the ultimate. Or at the least, just pull him apart for the team. That's going to be a little harder once the axe is complete, but it's still 1,500 or so. Well, a little bit more, 1,600, 1,700 away for iceiceice. As they may have to try their best at this high ground defense. TNC looking to smoke up and get into the prime position. And maybe even wrap him through the middle lane and try and enter the base. Black coming forward. Cuckoo, can he get the opening stun? That's the question. He doesn't need to. Samage is going to be the one to initiate. Can the rest of Faceless save Black? Black will get the chance to put the Manta Star. Jab jumped in the backline for the shackle from Cuckoo. Grabs Jabs. Jabs is down and down. The Tiny's dead for 88 seconds. They've lost Samage. They need to do their best to hit Faceless. They're one massive man down. The stun comes through to XY. Raven survives, gets out just in the nick of time with the Silver Edge, and he may be ready to go back in. 2 down on Faceless. Cuckoo jumps forward again with a focus fire, and this Maelstrom ripping nuts to pieces. Faceless forced back. XY will buy back in. Cuckoo just doing so much damage. Jabs was just a free kill on the side of that fight. And Samh may have lost his life, but again, it's his plays that just kick off these fights that are definitely going TNC's way, unless Faceless can do something big to turn. They'll look towards Cuckoo, but again, the wind runs so strong against Faceless' lineup. No way that they can hit through it. And TNC, they do not want to stop the pressure that they've already started to build up against Faceless with this fight. 16 stacks at the moment on the Essence shift for the Raven Slark. Black trying to make it go on to Cuckoo, but again, the wind run forcing Black to just sit there in the moment. And again, with the change turns, iceiceice cannot throw enough in to save him. Black's down for 90 seconds. Raven picks up XY once again. Double kill for the Slark. And GG is called. We'll be going to a game 3 as TNC stepped up their play massively here in this game 2. The Cuckoo Wind Ranger being pretty much a stroke of genius from draft to execution. He moved around the map perfectly. Samh with the suicidal initiations paid off at the end of the day. And just a very different TNC to what we saw in game 1.
Both a very different TNC and a very different Faceless. This was a completely different game. Yeah, this time around, Faceless don't dominate the laning stage as hard, and it seems they don't get into this explosive mid game that they did the last time. As mentioned earlier, it's obviously easier if you're owning already to keep it up, but Faceless seemed a little bit lost in the mid game how to play their lineup.